Okay guys, back up here in central Iowa. I'm back down here in the creek thicket. It is January 3rd. It's going to be a short hunt. It's after school, so it's about 3:30 right now. I got out here as fast as I can. I'm going to try to get in there pretty quick. I know some of you guys don't think I should be doing these short hunts. You guys probably think it'll mess it up more than it'll help me and everything, but if I wouldn't have come and done an after school hunt on this piece of public ground on Halloween, then I wouldn't have gotten my big Halloween buck. So it can definitely pay off, and the way I'm hunting today and how I've been doing it after school, it shouldn't mess anything up, and I think there's a pretty good chance of me getting it done tonight. So I think I have a pretty good plan. I have hip boots on. You can't really see them yet, but I have the hip boots on, and I'm actually going to sneak down into the creek from this side, snag my trail camera that I put up there a couple months ago. If it's still there, I don't really expect it to be because it's kind of a high traffic spot, but I'm gonna get down in the creek. Hopefully it's not frozen. It's only 22 degrees out, but I drove by yesterday and it wasn't frozen, so we should be good there, but it could be frozen. That might foil my plans, but I'm gonna hop down in the creek, wade up it, I don't know, probably close to half mile up to where my old stand was on the private land that I have permission to hunt, and the one that got stolen. I'm gonna hop out pretty much right in that inside corner of that cornfield. And on the 22nd, I believe, I was in here in the natural ground blind across the creek, and I don't think I included it in the vlog, but when I got out it was dark, but there were deer coming out of that inside corner, which I kind of expected them to do. That's why I put that stand there on before season started. One of them looked like a really nice buck, nice frame. I couldn't tell exactly what it was or anything, but it looked like it had a nice frame from the binoculars, even though it was dark. So could be a nice shooter buck in there. I'm not going to be too picky tonight. I'll probably shoot a doe if I get a good opportunity, but it'd always be nice to get a nice buck. I'll probably shoot no younger than a 3-year-old buck. Try to hold out for a mature buck. 4.5-year-olds or better. So we'll see what happens. I think I could also get it done when I'm sneaking my way up there. I think with all the creek crossings, I might run into one crossing that creek. So should be a good night. I feel like I have a good plan. I'm excited to get out there. Big buck. Big buck. Oh no. Okay guys, it's the next day. It's January 4th. I need to go over what happened in last night's hunt. I actually filmed an interview and I got home last night, but I found out with when I was editing and looking at the footage that there were a lot more deer that I didn't even know about when I was actually there. So basically, I was waiting up the creek, and which, by the way, that's a lot of work if you've ever done it. I didn't realize it was going to be that hard. I was fighting the stream for, it seemed like forever, and I got up close to where I was wanting to set up with about half hour of shooting light left, or a little bit more, and I came to a bend where the creek started bending around, and on that point it looked like a really nice thicket in there, and I thought, man, I really think some deer are bedded up in there. I have experienced many times deer like to bed on those creek points. They feel safe with the creek in front of them or behind them, and then they can see out into the field and everything on the woods on that side of them. So they feel pretty safe on those creek points, and it seemed to be a pretty nice thicket in an area where it was mostly open hardwoods. And this was about 100 yards from where I wanted to set up, and so I decided to ease up the bank because anything better on that point would have seen me if I just tried to go all the way in. And I eased up the bank, and sure enough, once I got up there, I looked over to where I thought they'd be bedded, and I caught some movement. There was a doe and her fawn moving around, and she actually had seen me moving a little bit before I saw her. So she was just staring at me, but she was at about 40 yards, and big doe, big mature doe. I thought if she gives me a shot, I should go ahead and take her. And she calmed back down. She decided I was nothing, flipped her tail, and then her and her fawn went back into the thicket that they were next to, and they started milling around in there for a while. And I went down on my knees then, and I got ready for a shot in case she came out and gave me a nice shot. And so I was just waiting there for probably 10 minutes, and finally they came back out, and they came out walking faster than I would have liked and faster than I was expecting, and they ended up going around me too quick for me to get a good shot. I was having trouble ranging them for some reason. My hands were freezing up, and they were about 40 yards through the timber, so that's always hard. So I didn't even get drawn back on those. I didn't really have a good shot opportunity at all. And then they kind of went to the left where there was a brush pile, and they were milling around in there. Finally the doe picked me out a little bit. She went around the brush pile. So I was trying to keep track of those two. I was trying to film those two, and I picked up on footage more deer that I didn't even know about while I was in there. So while I was in there, all I realized was there was those two deer, and then it seemed like maybe another one stood up behind the brush pile. I could never identify that. And then later on, about 5 minutes before shooting light, a big body stepped out before the right behind the left side of the brush pile. And I thought that deer may have been bedded there because I didn't see him come in. And I saw it was a big body. I thought, okay, this probably isn't a doe. So I got the camera on. I wasn't sure if it was in focus or anything because it was so dark. But I tried looking through my rangefinder and saw just a nice frame flash through my my rangefinder, and I thought, okay, this might be a big buck. And I think I said something like that to the camera. And so he started moving again, but I lost track of him with the low light, and I caught some other deer movement to my left. I thought it was one of the does, so I ended up filming that deer, and that actually ended up being another nice buck by the looks of it. And so finally I was scanning with my binoculars. I thought, okay, I'm probably not going to get a shot at any of these deer. It's getting pretty dark. And so I set my bow down, picked up my binoculars, and started scanning. And I was scanning on top of the brush pile, and just bam, this big buck just fills my binos. And he was looking right at me. I don't know if he probably must have caught a little bit of movement. He was only about 50 yards away. And he finally turned his head, and I just saw he was a big 10-point, big frame. I'd guess him, I got a pretty good look at him, even though it was low light. My binos did pretty good. So I got a pretty good look at him, and I would say he was right around 150 inches, more or less. So he was a nice deer, definitely would have taken him if I had the opportunity. Big, thick neck. And so finally he kept going to the right, and it was getting pretty dark all this time. And so he finally stepped out on the end of the brush pile, and I was trying to get the camera on him, but I saw that wasn't focusing, and he stepped out into what looked like an opening, and I wasn't sure if it was past the legal shooting line or not. It was getting pretty dark. I just didn't want to attempt that shot. It was 50 yards too. I mean, it was red flags all over, so I didn't even think about that shot. And pretty close. It was a nice deer. You know, maybe if he would have stepped out sooner, or if I'd have been a little bit closer, could have gotten it done on a really nice 10 point there. So probably the second biggest buck I've seen all year, besides the 8 point that I shot. So really nice buck. That was super exciting. And after looking at the footage, I came across, I think for sure, 2 other bucks besides him that were in there that I didn't even know about, just because of the low light conditions and focusing on the 2 does that were in front of me. And so there was a 9 point that came in from the left. I had seen him about 2 weeks ago, I think, or I think it was the 21st of December. On that vlog, I think I saw him on the south side of the creek in there. So he really looks like the buck I had on video there. I just got a quick glimpse of him on that day, but I got some pretty good footage of him last night. So he was a pretty nice 9 point. I think he's either a 2.5-year-old or a 3.5-year-old. He really isn't mature. I think next year he could be an awesome buck. I'm really excited to see what he does. But got some good footage of him. I didn't even know he was in there while I was in there. But I'm glad I got him on film. And it may have been him walking from the right to left, but there was another buck that looked like it had a decent frame that you could see walking through the woods on footage. And it was low light too, so I've enhanced all this footage so you can kind of make out what they are and stuff, but it's definitely not the best. You can just make out they have pretty big frames. You can make out the tine length on some of them, so it was a really exciting night. I'm glad I didn't get an opportunity at those does, because it was cool seeing those bucks. So definitely encouraging to get back out there when you can locate another big buck. I got out of there without any of them knowing I was in there, really. I think the does got a little nervous, and the buck may have gotten a little nervous, but he wasn't spooked at all by the time he kept walking away. And I let it get really dark, and I kept seeing the shapes move farther and farther away, and finally I got back in the creek and headed back to the car. So super fun night. I don't think I heard anything. Got a lot of good intel and almost got it done on a nice buck. So, you know, you got to take advantage of the time that you do have. It was a short hunt, but that almost paid off again, where I got it done on another nice buck after school. So as long as you have a good plan where you can get in there and not intrude on anything and spook them out, I think you can really make the most out of your time and get in there, even if it's a short hunt. So my plan was pretty good. I got in there without leaving much of any ground scent at all with the creek. I was really quiet, and I don't think I spooked any game. So really productive hunt. It was really fun, and I'm excited to get back out there. I may be doing some more after school hunts for the rest of this week. I'm not sure. I don't have that quite planned out yet, but I'll definitely be doing some hunting over the weekend if I don't get it done before then. So make sure you stay tuned for these video blogs. I'll keep them coming. Thanks for watching, guys.